Ram Jai Ram, Jai Ram Om, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Ram Om. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Yesterday, a couple of devotees had responded in the chats. Kamsa too got a voice from the void, and that he would be killed by the eighth son of Devakyama. And as somebody says, Papa's was inner voice, Kamsa's was egoistic voice spoke. That is the difference.
Maybe comparison.
We don't know. Purana, no.
Yes.
Individually egoistic only.
It can be interpreted anyway.
Like that, no.
But we normally take it that it was the Ashadiri which he heard.
Ah, yes. That's it.
It's God's voice warning him. Then only his Leela will continue. So many things have to take place after that. So there could be. It's a Purana, we don't dispute it. Somebody said trust in God, like in Vrindavan, shops in temple are not locked. God will see, God will protect. Hari Om. You remember there are many such persons who have total trust. Trust in everybody. The retired teacher in Calicut, we were there.
I'll
get you mat. I'll get you mat.
It's mad,
I'll get mat.
total trust. The retired teacher in Calicut, who is also involved in vegetable market, he doesn't close his shop, he keeps it open. People come there, they take the vegetables, they take their money, they put their money. People who bring vegetables, they keep the vegetables, take the money. He spends about 1 or 2 hours in the evening. And even when he sits there, somebody will come and do the same thing. He has total trust in everybody. He doesn't bother if there is any shortage in it's all right, no, it's all vegetables only. So, and another one, the other day we saw at the view, there is a hotel in Kuthuparamba.
Mavili Hotel.
North Kerala, there is a place called Kuthuparamba. There the hotel man, he doesn't have any employee, he cooks, he serves. People go to the cash counter, open the table, put their money and then go back. If they want to take any money, that's also okay. Suppose 50 rupees you have put, 20 rupees I have to take. Suppose I don't have money, next day they will put or next. They may them. Anyway, it is something like a house, you know. Nobody feels the absence of other. And he is quite contented. So here, those are all things, those are all stepping stone, no doubt. But if you don't bring in the God dimension, again it will not have its impact. Of course, to have the trust in God's creation, that itself is a big thing, no doubt about it. But the next stage is, we feel God is taking care. That feeling should be there. God is taking care, so there is no loss and profit, there is no mistrust. Nothing is there. Then, Swamiji, one question. Sometimes the Lord speaks through somebody totally unknown, but it still makes an impact as a voice of guidance. Sure. Yeah. When we as an aspirant or a devotee, we are training our mind to take everything as a guidance from Him. The Papa's quotation, the world we live in is a school in which observation and experience offer us immense possibilities for self-improvement. So that is how, anyway, it all depends upon how we look at it, how we take it. Today, before we go to our usual text, we thought we would read the first proof of the vision which is to come out on the 1st of July. Normally, every time when we prepare the vision, the legacy is we place it before Papa in different forms. That is how we offer. And then it goes for the print, and then it goes for the people who have evinced interest in vision. So with that bhavana, we will try to read and go through this. July 2020 vision. Papa's poem, Strange Mystery. First I will read the editorial, then we will come back to the He lives in you and you in Him. When we watch the TV at home, we are transported to a different realm, flooded with interest, insight and information. If there is a power If the TV ceases to function and gets disconnected from the virtual reality, we may blame the external factors for the interruption. Instead, if we pause for a moment and analyze judiciously, we will realize that the TV is merely a gadget which by itself cannot function but becomes functional with the aid of electrical power coursing through it, and thus caters to our emotional and intellectual needs. At the same time, it becomes clear that the electricity by itself cannot do what the TV does. TV, the matter, and electric power, the spirit, are thus intertwined. Similarly, man is not merely what he appears to be, a bundle of flesh, bones, blood, and skin, nor is he a creature living and acting solely under the impulses and thoughts arising from the mind. Beyond the exterior dynamics of the body and mind, there is within man the spirit, which is immortal. It is by the power of the spirit that our life is activated in its manifold expressions. Along with the above, one should know the spirit's very existence is authenticated by the creation. This aspect is clarified by beloved Papa in his outpourings in the cave, appearing in the first book, In Quest of God. He says, O Ramdas, you are in Ram, that is indwelling and all-pervading reality, and out of him. You are everywhere along with him. He is everywhere along with you. He cannot leave you, you cannot leave him. He is tied to you, you are tied to him. You are in his custody, he is in your custody. He cannot do without you, you cannot do without him. He lives in you, you live in him. Still you are his slave and he is your protector. Thus it becomes clear that our body-mind intellect complex, normally called the sense of individuality, becomes lively and vibrant only when the spirit presides over it. We hardly recognize this fact. Instead, we attribute everything to the sense of individuality, forgetting the enlivening factor of the spirit. Here starts the misery, conflicts, struggle, and the like in our life. Spiritual journey unravels this mystery. When we advance on this path, the sense of individuality realizes that it owes everything to the spirit and at the same time treats itself as the medium through which the spirit expresses itself. And this spirit is the same in all. Thus both spirit and matter are valid and relevant. As our sadhana steadily moves on along these lines, our life gradually gets transformed and is brimming with bliss and fulfillment. This month's issue of the Vision carries articles on spirit and matter. Papa's poem. In my stillness, I am the calm, silent spirit that fills all space and pervades beyond. In my movement, I am all worlds, beings and things. In stillness, I am peace. In motion, I am bliss. In my integral being, I am at once the spirit and the world phenomena. Yet, a subtle separateness exists in me. I live apart as a soul and that feeds and loves, a soul of joy and peace, a very ray of eternal light and life. I am the composite whole and yet a part. This mystery is strange, for wondrous am I. The difference between spirit and matter is like the difference between water and ice. Frozen water is ice, melted ice is water. It is spirit in its denseness that we call matter. It is matter in its fineness that may be called spirit. If there is water and ice, water will run. The ice will stay where it is. It does not mean that ice will not return to its original condition. It will, but its time has not yet come. Hasrat Inayat Khan. Matter and Spirit by Beloved Papa. Matter and spirit, although apparently two, are essentially one. There is no distinction between them. Spirit itself is matter, matter itself is spirit. God and manifestation of God are not different. The still, calm and static spirit of God has become the dynamic manifestation that we see before us as the universe. So universe and God are not different. It appears that modern scientists have found out that matter is energy, Shakti. That is one aspect of God. There is the other aspect which is still, calm, static, all-pervading. The former aspect of God is Prakriti, the latter is called Purusha. Purusha and Prakriti are one and the same. The combined being of the Godhead is called Purushottama in the Bhagavad Gita, who is at once static and dynamic, the nameless, formless reality, and also beings with names and forms. So it is clear there is no difference between matter and spirit. They say these are, as it were, the obverse and reverse of the same coin. There is eternal movement, there is eternal rest. Matter is eternal movement, spirit is eternal rest. Although matter and spirit appear separate, they are one. Therefore, truth is defined to be at once moving and not moving. This cannot be comprehended by our mind. Therefore, God is unthinkable, incomprehensible, yet realizable. Paramahamsa Yogananda. Spirit vibrated into matter. Hence, both spirit and matter exist. Matter, however, does not exist in the way that it appears to us. It exists as we see it owing to the delusive force of Maya, which makes the indivisible spirit seem finite and divisible to all experiences. Matter has existence in the same delusive way as does a mirage in the desert. Words of Beloved Papa. Brahman is at once manifest and unmanifest, manifest as the universe and manifest as Atman. He is Purusha as well as Prakriti. There is the complete all-comprehensive knowledge. This is the complete all-comprehensive knowledge of God that we have to strive for and attain. It is a yoga in which you are one with Purushottama. There you are the doer and the non-doer at the same time. Arjuna was told by Krishna, I will teach you the secret. By realizing it, you will be active in the battlefield. Still, you will be inactive. That is the supreme yoga in the Gita. So, in active life, when you have realized the truth and become the witness of your actions, you are unaffected by the results. Otherwise, you are involved because you think you are the doer. When the ego is absent, your actions are performed for the good of the humanity. You do not feel that you are doing anything because your individuality ceases to exist when you realize the self. Purusha and Prakriti are one and the same. They are not different. One is dynamic, the other is static. They coexist. These diametrically opposite things exist simultaneously in the Purushottama. To live and act in this supreme consciousness is the message of the Gita. So what you have to do is to surrender your ego, to free yourself from the clutches of the ego sense. Ego does not exist. It is an illusion. When you know that it is an illusion, you are free from it. Name, form and movement is Prakriti. Purusha is the silent witness, nameless, formless. There is an analogy given in the scriptures. It is like this. You are a serpent lying still. After some time, it moves. The same serpent it is and was still and is moving. But here Brahman as Purusha is static. Brahman as Prakriti is moving at the same time. Prakriti is always moving. Purusha is never moving. In the ultimate experience you realize they are one. When you are active, you are at the same time not active. So serpent's analogy is not perfect. Creation, preservation and destruction all are movements. Waves rise in the ocean, that is creation. They remain for some time, that is preservation. They disappear, that is destruction. Water in movement is water. Water in stillness is water. They are of the same essence. You can practice the two together. Inside, you identify yourself with the Purusha. Outside, you see everything as Brahman. Then the sense of separation will not disturb your meditation. The external practice of seeing God everywhere and the internal identification with Brahman will be complementary to each other. Meditation on the Atman will help you to practice seeing God everywhere, and that practice will help you to experience the Atman within. Because the mind will then not go out thinking of or seeking any object. In this practice, the mind will be attuned to unity. Diversity will disappear. Diversity is the disease of the mind which can be cured by this practice. So you have to realize the Atman first before you can see God everywhere. Material progress should not be at the cost of spiritual advancement. The two must go hand in hand. Then we will have integral evolution. Material advancement must be founded on and controlled by spiritual principles and values. That alone will maintain the right relation and balance between the material and spiritual aspects of life, and thereby transform the entire life into an expression of the spirit. Spirit and matter are not two different, isolated entities, but one integral whole. With the Divine Mother, Swami Shuddhananda, Papa's room, Mataji picked up Prem Sudha and opened the book to the Abang beginning with the line Prabhukari Paha. Based on Virat Papa's original poem in English entitled I Am the Tool. After singing the lines of the Marathi Abang softly, Mataji remarked, "See how Papa has mingled the eternal and the transient so beautifully in every song." Papa takes us to the highest spiritual state, then speaks of the finite state of Namarupa. Now in this song, Papa starts by telling us Prabhukari Puha, and then goes on to say Tome Ase Ahi, meaning I am like that. Then Papa tells us that he is the body. Thus he tells us that he is everything. If you care to read Papa's poem carefully, you will find the same intermixture of the eternal and the non-eternal. We too can realize how they cover all aspects of divinity. Every poem of Papa refers to each one of us as his amsha, as his samsha or particle, then to the universe as his universal body, and finally to the one who transcends everything. One who is all that is manifest and unmanifest and is yet beyond everything. This is the Purushottama aspect of Papa, the Nirguna aspect of God. Shashikala, when Papa speaks of Nirguna aspect of God, it is too difficult for us to understand Mataji. Mataji, it is natural that it should prove difficult to understand. We cannot even understand his manifest and unmanifest aspects, though they are as plain as the two sides of our hands. Then how can we comprehend something which is beyond everything? But Papa speaks of it in a simple language as possible. Every poem of his is replete with the three aspects. Shashikara, anyway, it is all too high and above me to understand. Mataji, don't worry, he will make you understand. You are here to understand. Srimad Bhagavata says, matter and spirit are co-energies of the original source of everything. the Supreme Lord, who is the Absolute Truth. Swami Satchidananda answers, there are different answers about the existence of the world. Some call it an illusion, some call it a manifestation of God. God Himself manifests in different forms. They say that forms are consciousness solidified, like an iceberg. What is an iceberg? It is water in different form solidified. This is called ice. It is not different. So the universe of names and forms is not different from the self, or truth, or reality. He Himself appears as names and forms, and the names and forms are not different from Him, just as the ice is not different from water. That is why they say that everything is God. In the scriptures they say, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahman. Everything is Brahman. There is nothing but Brahman. Because of ignorance, we see them as diverse things. But when our vision is purified, we see them as forms of God. Relationship of body with spirit by Swami Chidananda. The body is the spiritual manifestation of the Supreme Being in the grossest form. The spirit is the ultimate invisible form of gross Prakriti, as is manifest as the material universe. This is not only the declared truth in Vedanta Siddhanta and in great hymns like Shivananda Lahari by Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya, that Maya is the Achintya Anirvachaniya Shakti of Parabrahma. It is also the direct intuitional experience of great God-realized sages who actually beheld and discovered the oneness of Prakriti and the Supreme Parabrahma. Thus there is only one Prakriti and Purusha. They are not two entities called matter and spirit. Matter is involved in spirit, spirit is evolved in matter. There is only one reality, Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. At the grossest terminal of the reality, it manifests as matter, and at the subtlest transcendental other extreme, it is pure imponderable spirit, about which the only description is to be silent. This body is the receptacle of the spirit, which is its subtlest inner beauty, reality, and the spirit is the jewel within this body, like a jewel within the jewel box. It is not for the jewel box that one values a piece of jewelry. It is because of the jewel that the box is also important. Matter is the container of the spirit, and spirit is that which makes matter valuable, of importance. If the spirit is not there, they burn matter into ashes. They remove it as quickly as possible. Papa again quotation. A piece of iron is lying before us. It seems to be resting, while all its particles are in a state of intense vibration and motion. Rest and motion are combined in such a way that they exist simultaneously with regard to every object. Apply it to the whole universe. It is eternal movement coexisting with eternal rest. Eternal rest is the ideal. Eternal movement is the real. The one is spirit, the other is matter. Ideal and real, spirit and matter, are the two eternal non-moving and moving aspects of the transcendent one, the supreme ultimate truth. No difference between matter and spirit, Ramana Maharshi answers. Devotee, are thoughts mere matter? Maharshi, what do you mean? Do you mean matter like the things that you see around you? Devotee, yes, gross. Maharshi, who asked this question? Who is the thinker? Devotee, the thinker is the spirit. Maharshi, do you mean the spirit generates matter? Devotee, I want to know. Maharshi, how do you distinguish between matter and spirit? Devotee, spirit is consciousness, the other not. Maharshi, can consciousness generate non-consciousness? Or light? Or dark? Or light, darkness? Spirit is consciousness. and the other not. Can consciousness generate non-consciousness?
Can it burn darkness?
Devotee. The booklet Who Am I speaks of Swarupa Drishti, seeing the essence. Then there must be a seer and the seen. How can this be reconciled with the ultimate reality? Maharshi. Why do you ask for salvation? Why do you ask for salvation, release from sorrow, etc.? He who asks for them sees them also. The fact is this: Drishti is consciousness. It forms the subject and object. Can there be drishti apart from the self? The self is all. Devotee, how to discern the ego from the perfect I? Maharshi, that which arises and falls is the transient I. That which has neither origin nor end is the permanent I consciousness. Devotee, will continuous thought on the self make the mind more and more refined so that it will not think of anything but the highest? Maharshi, there is a peaceful mind which is the supreme. When the same becomes restless, it is afflicted by thoughts. Mind is only the dynamic power of the self, Shakti of the self. Devotee, are the sheets material and different from the self? Maharshi, there is no difference between matter and spirit. Modern science admits that all matter is energy. Energy is power or force. Therefore, all are resolved in Shiva and Shakti, the self and the mind. Koshas are mere appearances. There is no reality in them as such. Consciousness is spirit and matter combined by Nisargadatta Maharaj. Devotee, once I watched a mountain stream flowing between the boulders. At each boulder the commotion was different, according to the shape and size of the boulder. Is not every person a mere commotion over a body, while life is one and eternal? Maharaj, the commotion and the water are not separate. It is the disturbance that makes you aware of water. Consciousness is always movement of change. There can be no such thing as changeless consciousness. Changelessness wipes out consciousness immediately. A man deprived of outer or inner sensation blanks out, or goes beyond consciousness and unconsciousness into the birthless and deathless state. Only when spirit and matter come together, consciousness is born. Are they one or two? It depends on the words you use. They are one, they are two, they are three. On investigation, 3 becomes 2, 2 becomes 1. Take the simile of face. Face, mirror and image. Any two of them presupposes the third, which unites the two. In sadhana, you see the 3 as 2 until you realize the 2 as 1. As long as you are engrossed in the world, you are unable to know yourself. To know yourself, turn away your attention from the world and turn it within. Me, he and the world, 3 are there. So from first I turn from the world to me and then to him. Devotee, I cannot destroy the world. Maharaj, there is no need. Just understand that what you see is not what is. Appearances will dissolve on investigation and the underlying reality will come to the surface. You need not burn the house to get out of it. You just walk out of it. It is only when you cannot come and go freely that the house becomes a jail. I move in and out of consciousness easily and naturally, and therefore to me the world is a home, not a prison. Devotee, but ultimately is there a world or is there none? Maharaj, what you see is nothing but yourself. Call it what you like, it does not change the fact. Through the film of destiny, your own light depicts pictures on the screen. You are the viewer, the light, the picture, the screen. Even the film of destiny, Prarabdha, is self-selected, self-imposed. The spirit is a sport and enjoys to overcome obstacles. The harder the task, the deeper and wider his self-realization. Soul is God by Papa. pervades everywhere, and that is my beloved. Life enlivens all my beings and things, and that is my beloved. Joy eternal throbs in the hearts of all objects, and that is my beloved. Light enlightens the entire universe, that is my beloved. Power activates all nature, that is my beloved. Peace perennial informs and animates whatever is visible and perceived, that is my beloved. O ever-existent truth, how can I envisage and describe thee? I am the witness of my silence and of my talk. I am silence, I am talk. What a wonder! Can I say that this is a mystic experience? It is more deep, more comprehensive than mysticism. What is it then? It is an inexpressible secret. God and soul. God is soul. Soul is God. The vestures of the soul, our bodies and forms, are also God. Essentially, spirit and matter are one and the same. Spirit in movement is energy. Energy condensed is matter. There is no inner and outer existence. Divine existence is all in all. In all aspects and concepts, it alone is. She or he, all is my beloved, the truth. God is form and is also formless. I endeavored to know him and became he. Every thought and feeling of mine is inspired with this experience. I am he. Life is space, life is time, life is causeless cause. Space is infinite, time is eternal. God is life, infinite, eternal. Space encompasses all things, time engulfs all things. I am such a God, such a life, spaceless, timeless, causeless. This is imagination run riot. It's a mad attempt to find out who I am, what God is. When I talk, I am dumb. When I walk, I am still. When I work, I am at rest. I do nothing when I move the worlds. All dynamics are mine, while I am the static truth. Verily I am, and I am not. Can I apply this to my God? I am none else but He. God is presence, God is absence. He is remembrance, He is obliviousness. He is myself, He is yourself. When I look at Him, I see myself. I have His vision when I appear before myself. I realize Him when I know myself. How are we mixed up? He and I. Why not conclude He and I are one? Release the spirit by Eckhart Tolle. Ego is always identification with form, seeking yourself and thereby losing yourself in some forms. Forms are not just material objects and physical bodies. More fundamental than the external forms are the thought forms, things and bodies that continuously arise in the field of consciousness. They are energy formations, finer and less dense than physical matter. They are forms nonetheless. But you may be aware of as a voice in your head that never stops speaking in the stream of incessant and compulsive thinking. When every thought absorbs your attention completely, when you are so identified with the voice in your head and the motions that accompany it, then you lose yourself in every thought and every emotion, and you are totally identified with form and therefore in the grip of ego. Ego is a conglomeration of recurring thought. Ego is a conglomeration of recurring thought forms and conditioned mental emotional patterns that are invested with the sense of I, a sense of self. Ego arises when your sense of beingness, of I am, which is formless consciousness, gets mixed up with form. This is the meaning of identification. This is forgetfulness of being, the primary error, the illusion of absolute separateness that turns reality into a nightmare. Once you realize what the ego is and how it works, when forms that you had identified with, that gave you your sense of self, collapse or taken away, it can lead to a collapse of the ego, since ego is identification with form. When there is nothing to identify with anymore, who are you? When forms around you die or death approaches, your sense of beingness of I am is freed from the entanglement with form. Spirit is released from its imprisonment in matter. You realize your essential identity as formless, as an all-pervasive presence, or being prior to all forms and identification. You realize your true identity as consciousness itself, rather than what consciousness had identified with. That is the peace of God. The ultimate truth of who you are is not I am this or I am that, but I am. Understanding matter and spirit by Ekanathishwaran. There is no knowledge like Sankhya, no power like yoga, runs an ancient saying in India. These two together form one system. Sankhya providing the theoretical exposition of the human predicament, yoga dealing with the practical steps to be taken to achieve liberation from it. Those who try to separate theory and practice are called childish in the Bhagavad Gita. Kapila is believed to be the father of Sankhya and might have lived judging from the influence he exercised on the Buddha about the 6th century. According to him, the phenomenal world is founded upon two fundamental and autonomous categories of Purusha and Prakriti, spirit and matter. The spirit is eternally free, ever serene, self-sentient, while matter as the primordial source of the phenomenal world is ever changing. Perhaps a parallel to this ceaseless process of change may be seen in the theory of influx into Heraclitus. What is it? The Greek philosopher referred when he said what he could never plunge into the same river twice. This is true not only of the physical world, but also of the mental world, or the stream of consciousness in which images flow ceaselessly from moment to moment. It may be pointed out in this connection that Sankhya regards the physical and the psychical as nothing more than two different modifications of the primordial matter. Sankhya is dualistic, in contrast to the monistic outlook of the Upanishads, and accepts as real both the world of becoming and being, both matter and spirit. The sages of ancient India turned in their quest for ultimate reality to the world within, and claimed to have found it not in the objects of sense perception and intellectual cognition, not in Prakriti, but in that which guarantees the reality of these objects, the cognitive self or Purusha. According to Kapila, all experience is based on the duality of the spirit as the knowing object and the matter of the known object. While the spirit is ever serene being, matter is described as a state of tension of the three cosmic constituents of law, energy, and inertia. These three are said to be in a state of equilibrium in primordial matter until it begins to differentiate itself into the tremendous process of cosmic evolution. According to Sankhya, the origin of human suffering lies in confusing Purusha and Prakriti, changeless spirit with changing matter. By suffering here is meant much more than physical or mental pain, the consciousness of being limited, bound, conditioned, which is inseparable from this human existence. It is in this sense that Patanjali uses this word. Liberation. Liberation means the experiential recognition of the self as the same as the reality which is beyond the laws of time, space and causality, which is in no way involved in the ceaseless flux of the phenomenal world, and which therefore is ever free and immortal. This is the moksha of the Hindus, the nirvana of the Buddhists. Wrote off. Shiva and Shakti by Papa. Shiva and Shakti are the twin aspects of Paramashiva, the ultimate truth. While Shiva is the static principle, Shakti is the dynamic. Shiva is the basis and support of Shakti in her multitudinous manifestations of the universal phenomena. One is the invisible, formless, omnipresent, motionless spirit. The other is the visible, moving, universal power, revealed in name and form. On the infinite, calm, and unruffled bosom of Shiva, Shakti enacts her play. assuming the forms of countless worlds, producing in them the threefold movements of creation, preservation, and destruction. How does the supreme and all-inclusive knowledge of God, in both these aspects, tend to the aspirant's attainment of liberation and immortal bliss? To have the vision of Shiva is to rise above the individual consciousness, which is only of the relative and phenomenal life, the cause of ignorance and misery. Surrender to Shakti is held to be the means for obtaining the supreme vision. Here surrender denotes a state of transcendence of the body or ego sense, reached through the recognition of the truth that all movements, changes, actions in the various expressions, both subtle and gross of life, belong to Shakti, the divine principle permeating and appearing as the entire cosmos with all its beings, courage, creatures and things. When the soul has realized the Shiva aspect of the great Godhead by self-surrender, that is by the dissolution of the individual sense into the universal essence of Shiva, he attains the full comprehension of the perfect being of Paramashiva, who is at once Shiva and Shakti and also beyond them. Now the soul finds utter freedom in the knowledge of and union with both the manifest and unmanifest existence and enjoys the bliss of immortality. Adoration, worship, sacrifice, austerity, and the consequent visions of the divine forms are all gone through by the devotee before he reaches the dazzling height of the Supreme Head, Paramashiva. This is the crowning glory of human aspiration and endeavor. It is from this dizzy and inexpressible summit that the God-realized soul beholds his own self as the self of all, his own form as the form of all. He beholds both the manifest Shiva and the manifest Shakti as indistinguishably one in the highest reality. It is evident that the first step for the soul is to dive deep into the depthless ocean of the still and tranquil spirit of Shiva and get absorbed in him. Because it is not possible for him to know the unity and oneness of all things, which are apparently diverse and conflicting, unless he realizes the basic oneness of the unchanging and unaffected Shiva. The ideas of Shiva and Shakti are inseparable, just as sun and its light, fire and its heat, milk and its whiteness. To adore Shiva is to adore Shakti and vice versa. The mystery of the Supreme God lies in the neutralization and reconciliation of these two ostensibly opposite, clashing, eternal principle, Shiva and Shakti. This divine riddle is beyond the scope or range of the most elevated intellectual consciousness to perceive or to understand. To solve this riddle is to become the riddle itself. Spirit and Nature by Swami Vivekananda. The truly spiritual see spirit as spirit, not as matter. It is spirit that makes nature move. It is the reality in nature. So action is in nature, not in the spirit. Spirit is always the same, changeless, eternal. Spirit and matter are in reality the same. But spirit as such never becomes matter, and matter as such never becomes spirit. The spirit never acts. Why should it? It merely is, and that is sufficient. It is pure existence absolute, has no need for action. You are not bound by law, that is in your nature. The mind is in nature and is bound by law. All nature is bound by law, the law of its own, and this law can never be broken. If you could break a law of nature, all nature would come to an end in that instant. There would be no more nature. He who attains freedom breaks the law of nature, and for him nature fades away and has no more power over him. Each one will break the law, but once and forever, and that will end his trouble with nature. Dear children, the whole world is within by Swami Ramtirtha. A drop of water in the shape of a tear fell from the clouds. The tear fell. When asked, why is it weeping? It replied, oh, I am such a tiny, puny, insignificant thing. I am so small, oh, too small. Ocean is so big. I weep at my smallness. It was told, weep not. Do not confine yourself to name and form only, but look within you. See what you are. Are you not water? And what is the ocean? Is it not water too? Things which are equal to the same are equal to one another. Don't look yourself as being confined in space and time. Look beyond the space and time and see your reality. You become miserable when you confine yourself within time. Lift yourself above all. Not only matter and spirit are the same, but all are the same. True self is beyond all time. The whole world is within you. Just as in your dreams, you think yourself to be in the woods or forests, on the mountains, by the rivers. They seem to be outside, but all are within you. If they are outside, then the room would be weighed down, and the bed would be wet with the water you saw. Similarly, Vedanta says, all the world is within you. The astral, the psychic worlds are within you. And you think that you are in them. Just as a lady carrying a mirror on her thumb looks into the mirror and thinks she is in the glass, but it is just the reverse. So as a matter of fact, the world is in you. You are not the world. Moral, the time and space comprising the whole world, those seem to be outside, are really within you. Hence confine not yourself to name and form. Rise above them, realize your reality. Sri Ravi Shankar says, the finest aspect of matter is spirit. The grossest aspect of spirit is matter. The whole world is a combination of spirit and matter. Therefore, spiritual practices are not any different from your being spirited, happy, compassionate. Epistles of Swami Ramdas. Beloved Ram, you have explained your doubts in a plain, straightforward and clear manner. Such doubts have arisen in the case of many absolute Advaitism. Is not the whole truth. Absolute Advaitism means negation of all the manifested worlds. If you seek to enjoy the bliss emanating from universal love and service, you must look upon the universe as the expression of God, the Nirguna. God is at once manifest and unmanifest. He is manifest as the individual jiva for the sake of Leela. He incarnates again with his mighty power and knowledge to lead the ignorant jivas in reality. His own varied expressions to the full knowledge of himself dwelling in their hearts. The duality belongs to play, which you also assume when you deal with Ramdas and others. So the devotee is he playing that particular part. The Bhagavan is he playing similarly that part. Here the so-called I, assumed on both sides, is there only for the sake of the play, while in fact there is only one truth, that is all and all in all. When Ramdas says Ramdas did this, Ramdas did that, he refers to this body which is a particular expression of Ram, through which, as its indwelling reality, Ram works out his Leela. The instrument and the wielder of the instrument being one, you may express yourself in the first person as I, or in the third person as you will, but let the consciousness that all things and beings are one be always with you. This absolute oneness, coupled with its inevitable dual sense of play, is the ultimate reality. You write, my beloved Gurudev, so you have assumed the part of a disciple. You have assumed duality. You can do so for the sake of the communion of love, knowing as you do that there is only one reality, that is both the Guru and the Shishya at once. Prayer is a necessary part of God's play. for the struggling aspirant on his Godward path, to enable him to keep up contact with the high ideal he has to reach, and to draw inspiration and strength from that divine, all-compassionate, almighty source. The prayer you refer to was written for a friend in Punjab at his request. After reading this letter, so far, you will know that the prayer and the dual aspect of the reality have their place in the perfect oneness of all existence. In memoriam, P.V. Vishwanathan, an ardent devotee of the ashram from Mumbai, was called by Virat Papa on 28th May. Sri Narendra Pai, an old worker of the ashram, and the husband of Swami Srimati Shamla, who prepared prasad, was also called by Virat Papa. Sri T. N. Sheshan, an old and ardent devotee from Pargad, was also called by Virat Papa on 31st May. We pray for Papa's blessings on the departed soul for eternal rest and peace at his lotus feet. Anandashram News, 15,500 crore Nam Japa Yajna for third world peace. The total japa received in the third round, the month of May, is 200 crores. The grand total of the japa done so far is Guru Purnima. Right from the day one of our entry into this world, we need a guru for everything. Guru Purnima is an occasion when we parade before our mental vision several gurus who have been guiding us at every stage and helping us to become aware of and express our inner potentiality. This theme is reiterated in the following words of Swami Shivananda. Behold the entire universe as Guru Swarupa. See the guiding hand, the awakening voice, the illumining touch of the Guru in every object in this creation. The Supreme Guru, manifest in visible nature, will teach you the most valuable lessons of life. The silent, all-enduring earth, with its lofty forbearance and shady fruit-bearing tree, with its willing self-sacrifice, the mighty banyan tree, reposing with patience in the tiny seeds, the dripping drops, whose persistence wears away the rocks, the planets and the seasons, with their orderly punctuality and regularity, are divine gurus to him who will look, listen and perceive. We celebrate Guru Purnima on the 5th of this month. On this occasion, let us reflect on these thoughts and pray to the Supreme Guru who is seated within to bless us to be aware of him in his creation and serve him in all. Virat Papa's 57th Mahasamadhi Day will be observed on the 25th of this month. On this sacred occasion, the Vision offers its humble homage to Virat Papa with a prayer for the speedy spiritual progress of all, culminating in eternal happiness. Thought for the month. God and the world are not different. The sun gives light. It's a projection. Sun is light in itself. Similarly, world is God himself. Manifest and unmanifest are one and the same. There are no two entities. You cannot say that world exists apart from God. Everything is He. Projection means the same unmanifest is seen as manifestation. When our mind is still, sattvic nature exists. When the mind is moving in rajas and tamas, when the mind is moving, this rajas and tamas occurs. Is it not? When our mind is still, sattvic nature exists. Actually, we have been told that these three, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic, are in one realm. Probably the Almighty Lord of the Universe has given us 3 steps and to go beyond the 3 steps. Tamas and rajas does not help us to go up, whereas sattvic enables us to go up. So we try to develop sattvic thoughts and then go beyond. That is why in every mantra you will find Brahmanandam Paramasukhatam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dandvatitam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyadiraksham Yegam Nityam Vimaramajaram Sarvati Sakshibhutam Bhavadidam Triguna Rehitam. So, but Sattva has got its own importance. From the Rajas and Tamas, so long as the Rajas and Tamas are there, it is difficult to feel his nearness. Probably we can interpret like that. The nearness of God is felt when we are in sattvic state, calm, serene, reconciled, composed, matured. But we have to go beyond. That is why in every mantra is Triguna Rehitam. We are not to satisfy ourselves with that. That which is witnessing all the three. This should not be lost sight of. Anyway, in today's reading, what is more important is, normally there is a divide between spirit and matter, and we see anything that is concerned with the spirit, we call it as spiritual. Anything that is concerned with the matter is called material or worldly. Now through all these words of the Mahatmas, we are trying to understand that both spirit and matter are one. Papa puts in a simple language, without matter, the spirit cannot be realized. Spirit as such, without spirit, matter as such cannot exist. So both manifest and then then let us be satisfied. We are in the manifest world. We are only trying to understand the spirit in us. That is enough. Going beyond and all that He will take care. Let us try. We have been so far identifying spirit as spirit and matter as matter. But let us not do it intellectually. We will try to see the spirit in the matter, which is called in the expansion of love circle. Because that example, the TV becomes operable, functional, only when the electricity is there. We don't know that. We are watching the TV, suddenly the power goes, or the TV stops. When the program gets interrupted, we blame everybody, we curse everybody. What a time for this electricity department to switch off, we will try. Still we don't realize that there is a combination of matter and spirit, then only there is something for you to enjoy, something for you to learn, something for you to relax. So every time when you sit before the TV, before any gadget, suddenly we should start thinking how to relate myself. We have seen a dead body and we are seeing ourselves. What is it that makes the dead body dead body? What is it that makes us we as we? Then we clearly see the matter and spirit. Now this matter is there, the body is there, mind is there, intellect is there. But if the spirit is not there, it is called dead body. Immediately we try to dispose it of. So we are now praying to Him. We are unaware of this. The sense of individuality works only because of the spirit behind it. And we enjoy the existence of spirit because there is a sense of individuality is there. Without a bhakta, Bhagavan is not there. So let us not remove from our mind, as a spiritual aspirant I should remove no, it is not like that. Gandhiji's approach was entirely based upon that. He said, under the banner of spirituality, you don't retire yourself from this. Because he is there in the manifestation. if you remember the word correctly, this is what he said. If somebody has assures me that I can realize God if I go to Himalayas, I would have gone. But then only I came to know He is not beyond His creation. To love His creation is to love Him, to serve His creation is to serve Him. So that is why he was trying to combine spirituality and seva. Spirit and matter. Matter is not something to be eschewed. Every seed, as an agriculturist you will be able to understand this. Every seed, it looks as if it is sentient, but it contains the insentient power. Every seed looks insentient, but it contains the sentiency in the form of the life force. When I keep the seed here, it will not move. But when I put it in the earth, a conducive atmosphere, in a few days it sprouts. Suddenly I realize, it is there. It has not come from outside. The spirit, I can enjoy the fruit plant or the vegetables or anything only if it sprouts. If it stays as the unmanifested, this thing, no. So we are all enjoying all these things, but at the same time we are intellectually, under the banner of spiritual practices, ignoring this. So this is what is aimed at. When we try to analyze this matter and spirit, we are giving equal importance for matter and spirit. Everything is handled with love. As Mataji says, there are only three things in this world. Me, the devotee, He, the Lord, and rest of the things are articles of worship. So matter and spirit, let us not break our head. Matter and spirit are there. Matter and spirit are equally adorable. Equally, because without that, no. We are all talking about God realization, spiritual journey, everything, because we have got a mind intellect which He has given to us. So we make use of His gifts to know Him. If the gifts are not there, we will not be able to know Him. Every aspect of this spiritual journey is a gift of Him. Because we have to preserve this body, we have to preserve this sense of individuality for our research, which is guaranteed through the matter, through food, through water, through everything. So let us not belittle the importance of matter. Let us give equal reverence for that. That is the message Papa wanted through the vision of July. Okay, tomorrow time is already up. We will come back to the In Quest of God tomorrow. Anything chatting? Matter matters because of spirit within. Otherwise it does not matter. Matter matters because of spirit within. Otherwise it does not matter. Beautiful. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Om. Rama Jaya Rama
Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, 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 Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram,
Shri
Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram,
Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama 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 Shri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Rama, Jaya Rama.
Hari Om to everybody. We are in the chapter number 2 of In Quest of God. Title of it is Renunciation. The moment we hear the word renunciation, suddenly we remember those who have left everything and gone to forests to do intense tapas. But Papa's interpretation of our approach towards sannyas or renunciation is something different. It is not out of hating the world. Though initially he receded from the active life of a family life probably, or a professional life. Later on, he made it very, very clear that Ramdas never hated the world. He wanted only to learn the true secret of living in the world. Just like, when we do some training, intense training, we are away from our present field of activities. Suppose you are going for a retreat. For a moment you are free because your mind should not be preoccupied with the daily routine, daily compulsion, daily challenges. It should be completely available to you for the purpose for which you are now engaged. So he wanted to learn the true secret of living in this world. In the old life, he had likes and dislikes. Then God said to him, I will teach you the secret of detachment, of loving all alike. The Lord seated in the heart taught Ramdas this lesson by making him repeat Ram Nam. He made Ramdas love everybody by seeing him in all. He is asking Ramdas now to tell you, householders, that you need not renounce the world, that you can attain God by living in the world. With this object, Ramdas is now moving from place to place. Some no doubt go to the forest impelled by an inner urge. When the call comes, that is only because God wants to make them a special instrument for the service of humanity. If you come to the ashram, you will see a big household. There are many adults, children, cows, calves, fields, cottages. How can you say that Ramdas has renounced the world? In fact, you can renounce the world which is nothing but God. How can you renounce the world which is nothing but God Himself? This is the approach. We are not renouncing the world, but our attitude towards the world gets changed due to this intense training. This is a valid point. The very word title, renunciation. Again, elsewhere he says, when your heart is full of God, naturally there is no other thought in it. That is renunciation. To have no desire for anything in the world. Just as a great pond beside a river can be filled by opening a channel between the two. So also when you unite your mind with God, His power, love and grace will pour into you and your mind will be full of joy, free from all desires. That joy fills you through and through from within. So no other thought, then the channel is open and God thought comes, that is called renunciation. The river of God with which you have to connect yourself is not without. It is within you. You have only to open the channel. That means some effort is made to connect ourselves with Him, that's all. We take the Mataji and then you do some action by which that channel is made. That means in our language, what do? We try to connect ourselves by remembering Him. You have only to open the channel and you are flooded with joy. We desire for material things only because we have no contentment. We know by experience that we will not be happy by getting external things. They are followed by pain and misery. But the joy you get by communion with God is perennial. There is no break in it. It is based upon the immortal truth within you and not on the perishable objects outside you. Perishable objects cannot give you imperishable joy. The imperishable alone can give you eternal joy, and that imperishable being is God. So, in a nutshell, God remembrance. So, renunciation means, it is becoming very, very clear. Heart filled with God thought, God dimension, godly things. Slowly it envelops the entire mind so that there is no other place. Other people may call it as renunciation because no desire for anything else. That is why he clearly warns about this external sannyas. Papa is very clear about it. It may look like a bombshell, when we read this. But that is the truth, everybody knows. Mere external renunciation is of no avail. To assume sannyas in the hope that by taking merely that step you would realize God is perfectly wrong. Sannyas is not a thing to be received from or given to anybody. It is a dedication of our entire being to the Lord and His service. It is a spontaneous wave of aspiration rising from within our own heart. So receiving initiation from any external guru can make the disciple only an apparent sannyasi. Struggling through tedious and painful courses of sadhana undertaken because of the established rules and regulations. Especially when you take sannyas from the traditional mutt. A lot of rituals are there. And normally that sannyasi will ask him, the new initiated one, to go out for a year at least without asking anything from anybody, without carrying anything for himself. That's why he said tedious. Through tedious and painful course of sadhana undertaken because of the established rules and regulations, observed all through with the growing ego sense at the base of it. It's a very important point. Why Papa has not encouraged openly this is the basic one is that. Because we want to get rid of this ego and actually growing ego sense. The more we think about it, it becomes very clear to us, especially people like us, We can definitely think, why did Papa say so? Suppose ordinary people, when they commit something wrong, then they say something wrong, people will come and correct them openly. But when an ochre-colored person does something, people will not go and tell him on his face that what you have told is wrong, what you have done is wrong. So there is no chance for correction from outside. And everybody keeps on prostrating, saying so many words along with your name. And that gives you a feeling that you are slightly superior. And suppose that your recognition is not given, you felt hurt. All these things are covered by this. Observed all through the growing ego sense at the base of it. That is why even in the trustee deed he did not mention that there should be sannyasis in the board of trustees, or there should be sannyasi who should be heading the institution. No such word is. Question: have the clothes we wear any influence on the spiritual life? Papa: no, unless it be for one who has renounced desires or attachment to the world and lives a life completely cut off from the world. For him it is important. For a seeker of truth, not engaged in any other activities, the peculiar garvatras he puts on helps him to remember that his life is dedicated to God. For a seeker of truth, not engaged in any other activities, when his dedication has become complete and realization of God is achieved, it is immaterial what dress he puts on. Ramdas tells this from his own experience. He was wearing ochre-colored clothes during his early years of spiritual sadhana or God seeking. He continued dressing that way for about 3 or 4 years, after which he gave them up, started wearing the white clothes commonly used by all. When he had the colored on, he was feeling that his life was a dedicated one. The ochre color signifies renunciation. So whenever he looked at the cloth, he felt this life was God's and not to be used for anything else except for the realization and service of God. Thus it was helpful, though it is not always essential. A person can dedicate himself to God without any external changes because the dedication is purely an internal matter. He keeps on harping about this, internal. He may use any cloth he likes. It is immaterial in which way he dresses. Many saints dress themselves in the ordinary way and yet have their whole life dedicated to God. Their life is one of perfect inner renunciation. Ramdas still belongs to the world, not in the partial sense, but in totality. His beloved is not only in particular persons, but he is in his full power and glory in all beings, creatures and things. Ramdas has only expanded the narrow family circle into a world family. So it is not renunciation, but expansion. This is his unique approach. God has in his mercy made him embrace the whole universe as his. Ramdas' beloved dwells everywhere as all beings and creatures in the world. What we have to give up is the ego sense, the idea that we are the doers. God within is the doer, the sole master of all our activities. If we dedicate all our actions to him, we can destroy our ego sense and find our supreme union with Him. Surrender does not denote any change in the external mode of life, but a right attitude towards it. When your heart is full of God, naturally there is no other thought in it. That is renunciation. To have no desire for anything in the world. Just as a great... So as for Ramdas, in the later stage, finding that the orange-colored cloth was proving to be an obstacle to his attainment of an all-comprehensive spiritual perfection, a stage of Karma Yoga as distinguished by the Gita as Karma Sannyas, God divested him of the Geruva and gave him the white cloth in return, so that he can move freely amongst all people, from the highest to the lowest, without either feeling a sense of superiority himself or causing them the least embarrassment. He can now, like a child, freely move and mingle with all his friends and devotees of either sex. This is a privilege he prizes more than the greatest honor or reverence he might receive from the world. Karma sannyas implies rejection of the world as mithya, as illusion. God is taken by the sannyasi to be a silent, immutable, impersonal reality. Whereas the Karma Yogi, besides knowing this, is a very important word, besides knowing this, that he is silent, immutable, impersonal reality, also holds that the world is an expression of God, that all beings are His forms, all activities are His Leela, while therefore Karma Sannyas is a partial spiritual experience. Karma Yoga is decidedly a complete integral realization. Everybody will become now clear why Papa switched over to this white clothes again. He becomes one with everybody, Elsewhere we also remember to have read the word distancing somewhere. It distances from the rest of the people. So all these words of Papa, right from the first, we find 2 or 3, that is, this is purely internal. Renunciation means free from all desires. Renunciation means the mind is fully covered with God thought. Renunciation does not exclude the entire world outside. Renunciation only removes identifying with a small circle to a wider circle. But because the first one is there, what is the first one? Free from all desires. Mind fully occupied by
God.
the God thought. If these two are there, rest of the things can follow. It is expansion. So that means, when Papa took up this, now let us see how the plunge, how it is. So he was very clear about why he should renounce, God made him to think that the ultimate aim is to remove the me and mine, not identifying with a small circle. Always becoming aware that God is the great provider, He has provided, He has been providing. All these things are met with now, what we have read out before. So the mental preparation has been done. The removal of the me and mine. To be preceded by or complemented with constant God thought. Subservience to God. So this was how it was building up in his mind. So then immediately, he wanted whether it was his mind bringing all these justification or it has the sanction of realized evolved souls. So he just refers to random, it just refers to Light of Asia, New Testament, Sri Bhagavad Gita, where everything is confirmed that renunciation is a must. Abandoning all our duties, come to me. So Papa had the clearance now. Preparation is there. Why he is adopting it, everything is there. You take that passage to divinity. Here, for probably on a lighter vein, Chandrasekhar Rao writes a beautiful word. It was the 0 hour for Vittal Rao's life, the supreme moment towards which his life during these last 2 years was slowly but inexorably moving itself for ultimate fulfillment. The hour of destiny had at last arrived, when he was to break asunder all the shackles that still bound him to the worldly life and cast himself entirely and absolutely on divine mercy in the great venture on which he was to sally forth in pursuit of the vision of the life universal. It was a momentous time when he was to cut himself away from all the moorings that held him to this world and set his tiny boat sailing in the infinite expanse of the divine ocean, seemingly without a rudder or a chart or a compass, daring the very storms and tempests that would ceaselessly assail him and even try to crush his spirit. But Vittal Rao was fortified, what a language, in the knowledge that it was divine pilot who was guiding his little boat into the unknown and uncharted sea. Where then was the need for any fear, or where any need for anxiety? The very Ram to whom he was praying for deliverance from worldly bondage, now conspired with his devotee to make it easier for him to get away from worldly life. Just then, it so happened that both his wife and daughter were invited to stay for a couple of days at the farmer's father's house in the town and were away from the home. Like conspired, God conspired with how to do that. Just he cannot get away, So how God arranges, seizing this valuable opportunity, Vittal Rao, without anybody's knowledge, purchased a small quantity of red ochre and coming home dyed two of his color cloths into that sacred color. The same night he wrote two letters, one to his wife, whom he described Rama had made him to look upon some time past only as his sister, and the other to his friend, the partner in his business. The above beautiful and touching letter has been published in the letters. It may be mentioned here that true to her husband's parting behest, Rukmabai made the spinning wheel her constant companion, because he says, don't give up the spinning wheel. It will give you peace and happiness. Let Rame also work it. That letter, is also very interesting. Dear sister, you are to me only a sister in future. Sri Ram, at whose feet I have surrendered myself entirely, has called me away from the past fear of life. I go forth a beggar into the world, chanting the sweet name of Sri Ram. You know I have no ambition in life except to struggle for the attainment of Sri Ram's grace and love. To that aim alone, I dedicate the rest of my life and suffer for it, suffer to any extent. We may not meet again, at least as husband and wife. Walk always in the path of God and truth and make Rame do the same. Don't give up the spinning wheel. It will give you peace and happiness. Let Rame also work it. So, Sri Ram's blessings on you and Rame. He protects you both. Yours affectionately, Vittal Rao. So, thus on the 27th December 1922, in his 38th year, Vittal Rao turned his back on worldly life, to which he was never more to return. Now, from this is a small chapter, so many points. First point is
Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya. Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Rama, Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya.
part of explanation about renunciation. Because we may have a lot of sankalpas. He has made it very clear what is meant by renunciation. And why? To test the reliance on God. We take it like that. We take it like that. If I am under a protected umbrella, however much I may talk on philosophy, on God, on everything, surrender, it is all, under the protected umbrella. How will I react when the umbrella is removed? I don't know. Yesterday we were telling, the Swami telling us, here you are something. Because when somebody comes, impliedly, you know that somebody will come to your rescue. You should be there where you are nobody. That is the real test. Whether I have trust in God or believe in God, that is the feel like a test. Rest of the place I believe in God. Realize whether I trust Him or not, how will I know? Only when I am away from all the so-called protective or shields. So one should throw oneself out. That means individual to universal. First lesson. Then, strength and courage comes from constant remembrance. I may be a little doubtful whether I can stand. By constant remembrance, He is there. He has given me the prompting to jump, to take a leap. Will He not know how to protect me? And every time I should accept everything as a test. Every time. Whether it is positive or negative. Now, for example, when the boys mocked at him, he did not tell them first, I know English, I can understand what you say. When he accepted it as a test, he is not there, And then, one of the most important words, we are always drawn to that word, under His direct guidance and support. That means aligning with the reality, not seeking help from anybody else. That means by myself I will not seek any remedy. If it comes, I will accept it. Sarvarambha Parityagi. There won't be any initiative from his level for any of the individual purposes. Aligning with the reality under his direct guidance and support. Direct guidance. No much, no guru. No tradition. Total and fully relying on Him and Him alone. To ensure that the actions taken are not impulsive, it can be authenticated by referring to the words of Master. Because he has equal reverence, though he doesn't follow any tradition. He has great reverence for masters and their words. most important thing, last one. He decided to take the plunge. He has got a family, wife and daughter. It is not a simply walking out. He made all provisions. If we go back little before this period, he was passing through the severest financial crisis, mounting liabilities on one side, failures after failures at the business level. At that time, somebody comes forward and tells him, you see how God arranges everything. He did not leave at that place, at that time. Somebody comes forward and says, I will invest money. I will clear the liabilities. Even at that time, Papa says, don't invest. This is a sinking ship. You will also lose your money. He did not want to, capitalize or exploit the situation, because he was wedded to truth. God tested him. Now we understand, God tested him whether he is a ripe mango, ripe ego. If it has got any such cravings on the individual level, he will not be able to undertake this adventurous itinerant life. So that test also he passed. Then the friend said, leave it. I have decided to do it. So the liabilities were cleared, establishment was running, he made provisions for the family to be run, then only he left. He wrote 2 letters, So here is what is required to be done has to be done before taking any drastic step. Not simply running away. It is all very clear to him. And he was keeping up with meditation always. Meditation on. That is why he was able to commune with him. So here the meditation means we also get some truth along with chanting. Along with chanting these thoughts. O Ram, when he himself has written like that. So one night while engaged in drinking in the sweetness of his name, Ramdas was made to think in the following. Drinking in the sweetness of name. So while chanting, part of the name, part of the mind is chanting, part of the mind is dwelling on these thoughts. What are the thoughts? O Ram, when thy slave finds thee at once so powerful and so loving, and that he who trusts thee, trust not believe, can be sure of true peace and happiness, why should he not throw himself entirely on thy mercy, which can be possible only by giving up everything he called mine. Thou art all in all to thy slave. Thou art the sole protector of the world. Men are deluded when they declare, I do this, I do that, this is mine, that is mine. All, O Ram, is thine. All things are done by thee alone. Thy slave's one prayer to thee is to take him under thy complete guidance and remove his eyes. We have to give some proof. Initially when we start chanting, the prayer can also go along with it. By that prayer, we are trying to intensify our efforts to know that He is within us. That is why we are communing with Him, we are praying to Him, we are pleading to Him, we are appealing to Him. And later on we will find after the end of the itinerant life, he was in Hubli. Somehow his Rukmabai came to know about what is that much? Siddharudha Mutt. Siddharudha Mutt. So she went there. She went there and told the Swami there, this man had suddenly left me out, so he had come. So Swami called, go with her. He said, okay, he came. All the version of which we have read previously. But the moment he got down at the boat jetty in Mangalore, he went straight to Kadri Hills. And the wife was searching for him. And then after 1 or 2 days, he went there. So then she complained, why did you do that? Then also he says, we have got 2 children now. One is Rami and the other is this. So whatever he has written later, he was not a hater. He did not say, and even when she was bothering him about Rame's wife, he said, God will arrange. And he attended the marriage. He said, you are seeing Lord Rama and Sita getting married, something like that, no? So, and later on also we find, Papa's Purasham relatives were all very much close to him, which normally we don't find in any other Swamis. Apparently there will be a cut-off, or they think he is not accessible. But here we find the total change. He is accessible to everybody. Like that he is also accessible to his Purasham.
Rukmabai came here in 1931. Rukmabai, Papa's wife,
she
came and stayed in ashram. This ashram.
Yeah.
In 1931.
So the whole norms gets changed, that's all. Relationship gets changed. Outlook gets changed. Attitude towards the world is changed. So Papa's renunciation is something on which everybody has to ponder over. It is not the traditional way of leaving everything and going, cutting off from. No doubt there is a separation. There is a period when they are cut off. But it is only for, just like we go for training, intense training. When somebody is taken for this military academy, Indian military academy, when they go for training, they are cut off. Then you can only correspond, that's all. You cannot see them. Vigorous. So any training, we find at that time there will be a cessation of our usual life. So like that, when God thought has to get stabilized, grounded, well, such separation might be necessary. And in Papa's case, it proved to be like, whatever, then that's why he gives an elaborate explanation about renunciation. Because he was asked, when you say, then why did you do it? So he says, God wants him to do it so that he should go and tell everybody that it is not necessary. A person who does not go and say, it will not carry the weight. He is only justifying his action. But a person who has left everything and comes back and declares, Because God is everywhere. Your idea is only to see Him everywhere. But seeing is important. For that, some self-control for a period is important. Then afterwards, no other thing is important. Flows. Last year, I think, last year, we don't remember. We went to this Kaveri, where we, next chapter, in detail, is elaborately written. We went to the exact spot, we feel exact spot, we don't know, where Papa went there, had his bath, changed his clothes, and offered his prayer, assumed the order of sannyas, assumed a new name. Luckily, Kaveri had water at that time also. Then we all got up and then we walked to Ranganatha temple. We were thinking, it's a long distance, hot sun, no? So the next chapter will give us all those things. Adoption of sannyas.
Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Om. Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama
That more of it comes. So I think this particular chapter just covered so many. Again we will repeat a vivid picture, a comprehensive picture, an all-encompassing picture of renunciation Papa gives. It is not the renunciation as we normally He said that due to presence of Siddhartha Swami, Hubli is not having any corona problem, even though surrounded by Raichur, Gulbarga and Opachak. A very powerful ashram, very powerful saint. We had the fortune to visit there last year. Well, Mataji also had gone and stayed and served, I think, for a few months. It's a famous, very famous mutt. So renunciation, we get a complete picture. What are they? Renunciation is only expansion. Renunciation is free from desires. Renunciation is to ensure that our mind is full of God thoughts. Renunciation helps us to widen our circle. Renunciation is a step where you feel totally contented, nothing more you require. Our subservience to God becomes total. Surrender to God becomes total. So when this is achieved, wherever we are, we don't need any external renunciation. The me and mine is totally absent. Only when the me and mine comes my family, my group, my society, my circle. And he also says why he put on. It was necessary for him in the initial stages. Later on he thought it was an obstacle for an all-comprehensive realization. Because still it was distancing him from the rest of the people. And he clearly defines karma sannyas denies the external world, whereas karma yoga embraces the whole world. Initially it might have been necessary to get the necessary, strength and courage, or to steel our hearts, to concretize our commitment. But later on, when it is ripe, it doesn't matter whether you are in the midst of a sannyasi or in the midst of a samsari. Because he is there in everybody equally. And then when these thoughts come, then when he knew that this was the need of the hour, that I should be away from the protective field, God made him to take to this leap. So he wanted to put him on test before he is conferred the degree, so many examinations are to be subjected towards him. And for that he requires strength and courage. So he blessed him with this constant remembrance that he is there to guide him. So everything he was able to take it as a test. He did not simply walk out. God arranged him an appropriate moment for him without making a big fuss, Quietly he left, leaving 2 letters so that there is no confusion. One for their deliverance of debts, whatever called it. Because he took 25 rupees with him. And then a very touching letter to his Purvashram wife. That letter gives the complete mission of his vision and mission of his life. Prepared himself and took the leave. It was not out of frustration. It was not because of any impulsive thought. It was a long-drawn plan. God did not reveal till the last moment what his plans are on him. But chronologically, if we look back, he prepared everything beautifully. So from that we learn as devotees, whatever happens in our life, we should know that he is also planning for us. Not in the way in which anybody has followed, but for every one of us he has got a plan suitable to our temperament, nature. We don't have to follow what somebody did. But with this we should know that God, in whom we place our trust, will reveal his plan at the appropriate time. He will make some outer circumstances. Something is coming. All right. Okay. And then only he left. Otherwise, suppose when they are there will be some scenes, he may not stealthily go out, but he will be forced to go out, but they may not be able to accept it. They have not reached that stage. That is why even after 1 year, she went to Siddhartha Swami and pleaded with him to get him back, So that means they were not able to understand his level, his priorities and preferences. So God arranged that when they are above, then they are away for a couple of days. He thought, this is the opportune moment. So he left. So many such points we have to keep on. Rather than going through what is it that I can? This is a very important point in our life. We must have given some explanation, some idea, about renunciation, about spirituality. This particular chapter clears everything. The only thing is we have to be in control of our cravings, infatuations, desires. If that is reduced gradually and more time is spent on the way in which he runs the whole institution, runs the institution called, the world, the way in which he runs our own individuality, then God thought is slowly taking a deep root. Where from the sound comes, how is it that the eyes are working, how is it that thoughts are going on, how is it that the entire organs are functioning, how is the breathing steadily goes on. Like that, when we see a plant, how does it grow? When we see an insect, what is its, its uniqueness? When the ant bites, okay, suddenly we realize we have trespassed into their territory. So out of protection for themselves, they have been given this injecting method, which we call it as biting. So our whole attitude changes. Today we had a lot of ant bites, that's why we remember. So we take it, we have trespassed into their arena. Everywhere we will find, we will not see from the individual standpoint. We will slowly start seeing from the universal standpoint. This is what is required. Anything that comes to us immediately, is there a tendency to share with others? Or is there a share to enjoy ourselves? Anything we share. Anything is open, Transparency. So many things we learn from the word is renunciation. What is renunciation? When he said he is planning to free himself from the me and mine, it is from the individual to universal. So many. That he was practicing it. And he wanted whether the step is right or not. So he had the okay from the words of the evolved souls. So by him, he teaches us, whenever you want a confirmation, when you take a bold step, it is good that you rely on the words of others, evolved souls. And automatically that particular page comes, particular book comes, And that gives you a go ahead. You know? And whatever we can, and suppose we want to take a step on any level, we should see that the present setup is not disturbed much. We remember somebody was telling about the way in which Swami Tapovanji Maharaj, when he left, he was a householder. No, he was not a householder, sorry. He was the head of the family in Paragat, Bellup. He was only waiting for an opportunity when these people, many of them became of age. He entrusted everything to them, and those in lands and everything, you know. Then he said, I am going on a tour. Previously also he has distanced himself from everybody, so nobody talks to him much. And then he left, and he literally left the world. Afterwards he had not come back at all. He made everything ready there. There is no confusion. He withdrew from the scene and went on a Parivrajaka Yatra. And finally, after sadhana, after the final summit he had reached, he was in Uttarkashi. He did not.
How old was he?
No idea. Must have very young, 30, very young, very young. Just one of the greatest tapasvis of our land. When we were in Uttarkashi in 84, when we had occasions to meet so many of his contemporaries or his shishyas, we used to ask them about it. The moment they start talking about Tapovanji Maharaj, you know, they will immediately get up, many of them. If they are too old, they will immediately do this, you know, as if he is before them. Such sort of remembrance. Doesn't move out, doesn't ask, doesn't go for viksha. Everything he brought, little he takes. And finally, when he was not well, by the time Chinmayanji had become very famous, you know, he had come there. So Chinmayanji came from Delhi and tell him, why not we go for a checkup in, you need not take any medicine, at least for a checkup to Delhi. So immediately from the bed he asked, people in Delhi doesn't die? And he did not ask him. There is a kutia there, still they have kept it. So why we remember all those things, you know? Renunciation means it is not simply walking out. Papa has elaborately discussed about all these points in this small chapter 2. He has made us to think about it. Why, what, and what should be our attitude. Internal, sannyasi is internal. He keeps on harping this point. So tomorrow, adoption of sannyas, what happened to him after he got into the train. Very interesting, and hereafter it will be very interesting, no doubt, because so many incidents will happen. But at the same time, we are not going to be satisfied with the incidents. That will be again a surface level attempt. We would like to go a little more deeper than the surface and find for ourselves. At this stage we may find, how can I do that? He did it in his 38th year. We need not do that. At least we will try to mentally raise ourselves to that extent and to somehow train our mind. Because in his case only 38 means 10 or 15 years of experience would have given him. In our case, God has given a number of years experience to show how He has been kind enough to accommodate all our nonsense, omissions and commissions. So we have more data probably than Papa. If we look at it with that, every moment when we committed something, how we were saved, how we were directed, how we were punished, how we were put on the wrong, right line of thinking, and where are we now? So in that way, probably we are luckier ones now. We would not have gone through the severest trial which we had. So many things are there for us also. But at the same time, we missed something which we did not miss. So we will try to now find out what we missed. In that way, we will try to make use of this narrative to the fullest extent. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Rama,